What's happening, everyone? My name is Adrian and welcome back to What the Pun. Hope you're all well and staying safe. And in today's video, I will be giving my personal experience and my family's experience on the ownership of the Land Rover Range Rover Sport. As it's such a popular car, whether people use it as daily driver, for a school run, or people that actually use it to its full potential, whatever the reason, it is a very popular car. So I'm hoping in this video today I will share some of my personal experiences, my family's personal experiences in regards to what some of the issues we may have experienced given the age of some of the Range Rover Sports now, what kind of problems you may encounter and what you may need to look out for, and going over like some of the benefits in terms of features that these vehicles can offer you. So, as it's such a popular car, whether people use it up to its full potential as a daily driver, for a school run, whatever the reason, it is a vehicle you can't deny is very popular on the roads. So, I'm hoping in today's video I can share some personal experiences myself and my family have experienced whilst owning the Range Rover Sport, which I hope in theory can help you decide whether it's a car that would suit your needs. To start off with, we own the 2011 Range Rover Sport. It's got the 3-litre diesel engine which has 245 horsepower. Okay, that's that out the way, so let's go and check out the car. On the sides of the front seats you have the controls. Also on the driver's side as well you have memory settings for the seat as well. Leather is quite good leather, feels soft, it feels quite nice. As you can see, definitely not short of storage in this car, and I really apologise for the mess as this is mainly my dad's daily driver. Very spacious boot. So one thing I found quite annoying about using the Range Rover is where to release the boot. So, you know, like with most cars, you're used to the boot release being in the center of the boot, but whereas this, you'd find the button is actually on the side of the boot, which got me quite a few times until I finally got used to it. In terms of how the car drives and handles, I think what puts off a lot of people when buying a big SUV like a Range Rover for the first time is just how huge the car looks from the outside, and I think that puts people off because they're afraid of just running into a lot of things because they feel like a big car is very clumsy and they can't judge the distance between things very well. But as a matter of fact, it's very, I feel from my experience, it's quite different in the sense that because of the driving position you're given in a large car like this, you're sat very high up and you just get a very good view of everything around you, to be fair. I mean, like with everything, it does take a bit of time to get used to, but I feel like I have a greater view of everything around me than in a smaller car because you're sat so low you don't really see things very well. I feel like, you know, with all cars, whatever size you decide to get, there's a bit of an adjustment period, but I don't see I honestly don't feel like there's a disadvantage in how you drive a large car like a Range Rover, to be fair, and I feel like your driving position gives you an advantage because you see everything so much clearer around you. Is it a boring car to drive? I mean, it's not the most boring car I've driven, but also it's not the most fun car I've driven. It's just one of those that are just very comfortable, it's smooth, it just gets you in a very relaxed position. I mean, like, I'm sat in here, I feel like I'm in my front room and I can just get very comfortable and just relax and just go on a very long drive. And it's not the fastest car I've driven, but it's not the slowest car I've driven. I mean, this one is the 3-litre diesel, and it's about 245 brake horsepower. Off the line, if you do put your foot down, it does pack a punch, so it does pull you back a little, so when you need it, it does have a good little kick, so it's not bad. I mean, you don't buy a car like this to expect it to be the quickest car around anyways, but it does pack enough to have some enjoyment, I guess. And you know, it's just such a smooth car, and have I said how comfortable it is? Honestly, it's such a smooth car. I mean, you put your foot down, you just go and go and go, it's just very comfortable. I mean, apart from you do get the typical soundtrack of a diesel vehicle, but once you get going, it's just a very smooth car to drive. I mean, there's all these different driving modes. I mean, given where we live, I've never used any of the driving modes, but I know they're there, and when I need them, which I've never had the need for them, they are available. But just the standard driving mode for this car, it's everyday driving in the city or around the city, it's perfectly fine. Never had to take it off-road though, to be fair. Does this feel like a 10-year-old car? Looking around, I guess you can say it does feel like a 10-year-old car. I mean, it is a bit dated. The interior design is of its age, where you compare to the more current models, they are less complicated in terms of all the fidgety buttons, but I wouldn't be upset. I mean, it's still a car that has a lot of tech that some modern cars still are lagging as well. The entertainment system wise, okay, you don't get things like CarPlay, Android Auto, but I wouldn't, it doesn't upset me that it doesn't have that feature on this car. I mean, it's still, at least it has digital radio, it still has auxiliary at least, has a TV function, which I've never used on this car before, but it's got good features, it's got enough gadgets in here to keep you comfortable. I mean, like I said, it's a comfortable drive, and at least I don't need anything else to sort of distract me from my long journeys if I'm taking this out on a long journey. The heated seats on this, I must add, kicks in so much quicker than other cars I've driven. And if on a cold day, the heated seats definitely on this comes on very quick compared to anything else I've driven with heated seats. What else do we have? Yes, we have rear view parking camera, which is quite useful. I quite like it, but I do find the placement of it is quite meh. I think one thing they haven't thought of is that because it's at the back, it does get quite dirty, especially on a cold day like this. So when you just start your car on a cold day, you do notice it does fog up quite a bit at the back. Right, overall, I mean, it's a 10-year-old car, and for the first gen Range Rover Sport, I guess some of them are a bit older, but this one's a 2011, and for about anywhere from £5,000 to £10,000, you're getting quite a lot for your money in terms of tech, comforts, luxury. You do get your money's worth, I feel like. Oh, and then I mentioned, which I definitely didn't mention this. In this particular example, like we have a fridge just here. Yeah. Not that that should be a deal breaker for you, but if you're someone that enjoys a cold beverage, not that I'm endorsing drink driving, but if you're someone that enjoys a cold bottle of water, then yeah, that could be a big deal for you. Like having access to a cold bottle of water, chilled bottle of water to enjoy on your journey is quite a luxury. But not, like I said, not a deal breaker, but have a think about it. What other car can you think of would have that feature? I mean, apart from a Mercedes S-Class, what other vehicles, would come with an inbuilt fridge? In regards to the running cost of a Range Rover Sport, sadly, it's not cheap. Because the car weighs over 2,000 kilos, fuel economy is not the greatest. Even though it has a very large fuel tank, I think it's about 80 litres. Sadly, fuel is not going to be cheap when running this car. Other things to consider, depending on which model you have, but the one we own, road tax is about £565 a year. And the other thing to consider is your tyres. Depending on what size wheels you have fitted on your Range Rover Sports, and if you're going for some economy or more premium brand tyres can cost anywhere from £100 all the way up to £200. At the moment, we've tried Continentals and Hancooks on the Range Rover Sport, so they're usually around £130 each. So, as of now, like right now, if you was on the market to look for a Range Rover Sport of this generation, and you look on Auto Trader right now, for a decent example Range Rover Sport, you would be looking at the region of about £6,000 to £10,000. There are cheaper ones out on there on Auto Trader, but I wouldn't feel confident unless certain things have been addressed. It's because a car of that age, because these cars are about 10 years old, there are quite a few things you need to consider, whether you want to spend less on the car and then spend a lot of money afterwards addressing certain issues. A lot of them being 10 years or older, a thing to look out for would be the front end suspension bushing, or maybe even the suspension bushing around the entire car. But I mentioned the front end especially because we've had that issue on our one, and it's mainly because a lot of weight goes through the front of the car, so the front end does get a bit more juice. Another thing to consider is the particle filter on these cars, as a large majority of them on the market are diesel vehicles, and the particle filter is something that may need to be changed at some point, as over time they do get very blocked up depending on the mileage and the fuel that was used in the car. So one thing to consider, so if there is an issue with the particle filter, you may notice a warning light on the dash, and also the car would most likely go into limp mode as well until that issue is addressed with the filter. Another issue we had with the Range Rover Sport was with the inlet manifolds. So when we had the car investigated with Land Rover, they basically told us there was cracks in the inlet manifold which caused the problems that we had. What was the problem was basically after driving the car for a bit of some time, it was intermittently the engine warning light would pop up and immediately the car would go into limp mode, and that was happening for quite some time and we wasn't too sure what it was. It definitely wasn't the particle filter, as we had that addressed quite some time ago. So when we had Land Rover investigate, they basically told it was because of the cracks in the inlet manifold causing pressure issues with the engine, and it was not cheap to get fixed, so you'll be looking at in the thousands of pounds to have that addressed. So that's something to consider. Potentially it might not happen to you, but it's happened to us given the age of our Range Rover Sport. But otherwise, it's actually been a very good car in the 5 years that we had it. Putting aside the expensive repair bills that we've had, overall we've not had any other major issues apart from with having to address the issues with the particle filter, suspension bushing and the inlet manifold. So it hasn't been that bad, but if you're on the market looking for a used one, maybe look deeply to see if they've had some of these issues addressed, or have a good inspection of the vehicle to ensure you're not picking one up where you have to have those issues addressed as well. Okay, so I hope today's video has been useful to yourself and to anyone that's actually in the pursuit of looking for a used Range Rover Sport. If you have any questions in regards to our ownership experience, please feel free to drop your comment down in the box below. And if you're not a subscriber, please feel free to subscribe to keep yourself up to date with what's going on with the channel. Okay, that's it for this week. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye.